This episode is brought to you by Dogfish Head Craft Brewery. The Grateful Dead and Dogfish Head have gotten the band back together with the release of Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale, a light-bodied pale ale brewed with sustainable Kernza grains, granola, and heaps of good karma for a refreshing brew that's music to your taste buds. Available nationwide. Visit dogfish.com to find Grateful Dead Juicy Pale Ale in your neck of the woods. Dogfish Head Craft Brewery is located in Milton, Delaware. Please drink responsibly.
This episode is brought to you by Onnit. Ever feel like your brain just won't click? Onnit Alpha Brain is a daily supplement engineered to support memory, focus, and mental speed. Made with science-backed ingredients, Onnit Alpha Brain helps you lock in, tune out distractions, and stay sharp. Unlock your flow state. Visit onnit.com for 15% off, subscribe and save, and get in the zone.
Welcome to 4.0 to Pro, the pickleball podcast that focuses on a single shot, tip, or strategy to improve your pickleball game with every single pocket-sized episode. Our goal is to make you better on the court every time you hear our voices.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of 4.0 to Pro, your pocket-sized pickleball podcast, where we teach you a single shot or strategy every single episode. I'm Michael O'Neill in sweltering Long Beach, California, joined by Mircea Morariu there at the APP in Chicago. What's up, dude?
Just a little pickleball, my friend. It's fun being back in the tournament groove, which is good. So I'm enjoying that a little bit after a kind of bumpy week from being home, and it feels good to be out here playing with my friends.
It's a family reunion. Housekeeping, folks, if you are interested in our camp, we still have some slots left. We've got 402p.com/camp. This is our camp at Pickler Universe in Dallas, and we are super psyched. It's about a month away now. And if you guys come, the only thing I can guarantee is you're going to have a blast and you're going to become a better pickleball player over the weekend. So that is very exciting. If you guys are on the list and you have not received an email, I have sent multiple emails to the people on the list. So please make sure you check your spam folder and things like that. But if you haven't, all you got to do is go to 402p.com/camp.
So, Michael, I was talking to one of the Open Pros, Robert Slutsky, who's from Dallas, and he was just so effusive about what a great facility that we are going to be having the camp in. So, really excited about it, and going to be a lot of fun.
They had the MLP there a month or so ago, and even just looking on YouTube and seeing all the different things they have, they've got lounges and VIP lounges and observation decks, and it's going to be very, very cool. So, if you guys are on the fence about coming, please join us. It's going to be amazing. So Mircea, last week when you were out, I did a little show on something that I've seen trending a little bit in pickleball. We see these trends all the time. In this case, it was the cross-court attack or the cross-court speed up. And there's a more global conversation about this because I wanted to bring you in and have your expertise on, let's do a little more of a technical overview of some of the targets that you might do on a higher level and that kind of thing. Also maybe open up the discussion to the global discussion, which is offense seems to be really winning games, like creating opportunity versus what would happen before, which is I've been watching these like 2016 and 2017 finals on YouTube and going, God, these are maybe like 4-0s or a 4-2-5 that are in these finals at this point. But the notion of those games was let's grind them down until somebody makes a mistake. Dink, 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 mistake. And it ain't like that now. Now it's let's make our own hay by firing a ball at a certain spot, hoping for a pop-up and being coordinated enough with my partner to put it away.
Obviously, the paddle technology, Michael, has really contributed to this. And on the pro side, the PPA at least just changed the lifetime ball, which is a little bouncier, so it bounces up a little bit more. So that's going to lead to more speed ups, but it just allows for more precise and more powerful attacks. Thus, it really allows you to target specific spots and hit the ball harder with more frequency and more accuracy, and you're able to set up more offense on a ball that you're controlling. And that's really what we're talking about. Some attackable balls that are either waist high or a little bit below the net, maybe at your thigh level that you can attack. And traditionally, you want to be attacking straight up. That's most optimal if you can, especially if the person directly across from you, if I'm on the right and you're on the left and you just popped up to dink. To me, a lot of times the best option is to go right back at you because it's a shorter distance and you have just hit the ball. The newer paddle technology allows us to open up our repertoire a little bit, open up our options, and definitely the cross-court speed up, which, you can always do a put away. So if you have a high ball that's at like shoulder level, you can always go down cross-court or down in the middle, but it's really those less traditionally attackable balls that now when we're getting to 4-5, 5-0, we're getting to that level that we can start to attack balls at our waist and at our thigh level.
One thing I think is interesting about that is that I think that because traditionally we've always said to attack straight ahead, that people are now, the straight ahead people are much more prepared for that than they were, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago. They're sitting on it. They're waiting for you to attack them. They're cocked and ready for that counter. Whereas maybe this cross-court thing is catching that person a little bit like, oh God, I didn't know this was happening. I think that this will all equalize, as I did mention on the last show. I think people will continually up their game to now, hey, look, these attacks could be coming from anywhere. So now you really have to be ready instead of feeling like, oh, there's no way they're going to attack me in this respect, but they are right now.
Yeah, and I think we should define a little bit better that we really want to pick the right balls. And we want to pick the right targets. Because if the ball is below the net, we still have the challenge of going cross-court, being a longer distance, so that person has more time to prepare. If you're on the right and you get a ball below the net and you speed up either inside out with your backhand or cross-court with your forehand, you are going to a longer distance and you're going at a diagonal. If you're going outside, meaning if there's a right-handed person on the right side and you're going to their right, the ball is going to go out. And so you have less room for the specific target. And then it's also a longer distance, so you do have to pick the right balls in the right spot. And that's what we're going to talk about today, Michael.
So you played, obviously, senior pro mixed today. Did you see any? Was anybody doing any cross-court attacks in any of your games?
Absolutely. And traditionally in mixed, especially in senior pro, and also open pro, there's going to be a lot of balls going cross-court between the females, and at appropriate times, either my partner or the opposing female would speed up cross-court, and it was relatively common. But I will say that the most effective attacks were the ones that were targeted to specific spots rather than space. So let me just clarify that a little bit. When you're attacking cross-court from below the net, let's start off with being on the right side, and let's finish the mixed topic. If my partner, who is Audra Spielberg, if she speeds up from below the net cross-court in the middle, a lot of times those male players will cover with their forehand, or if it's a female player, they have that two-handed backhand. So the cross-court middle, which is you're looking for space, you're attacking that space, it really only works well if you've really pulled someone out wide. It can be either player, but if you've pulled them out wide and you've opened up that space and someone's not covering that space. Again, when you're going below the net, it's really, really risky because you have to hit it from low to high and someone can jump over to cover that space because you're going somewhat cross-court. So it's really a tricky shot.
Today, my first partner, I played in a group of 12, and this guy was a still somewhat recent tennis guy. And when he was on the left, and he was a really tall dude, 6'6" kind of guy, but didn't yet have the backhand dink swing path dialed yet. And he would almost every single time would cross over from his right leg and cross all the way over to the left and expose his back to that person that he was diagonally dinking with, which then, of course, opens up that whole middle area. When you're on the right-hand side, they can just fire it right down at their what's remaining, their left foot, and it's over. And I eventually had to say, hey, this particular thing, we've gotten burned on this now about 4 or 5 times in that last game. Think about it this way, and we never talk about like, here, change your swing entirely, but no one had ever told him that. And he was like, oh, that makes tons of sense. And so we actually ended up switching partners, and I played against him, and he was much better the next game. So it is a quick adjustment. But to your point, I was hoping to be able to just swing him wide because I knew that he was going to turn away from me, and I'd have all of this space. You could drive a truck through the space that he was going to vacate. You're saying that, to me, it feels like the further you go up that duper ladder,
Yes.
where you might want to attack the space between the players, it doesn't work like that 4-5 and above, because A, that space isn't probably there, and B, they're probably baiting you. Please hit it to that space. That guy is waiting for you to hit it to that what looks really open gap, and then stepping in and putting it away.
Exactly. And that's a really good point, because the higher level that you go, you definitely have that middle closed a little bit more, because we've always talked about where do things funnel, Michael, if they start going fast.
Yeah, they always go in the
They
middle.
always go in the middle, because if it's going wide or diagonally, it's going out. The balls that are typically going in are funneling towards the middle. And let's go back to the mixed example, which you can actually extrapolate pretty well to gender doubles as well. The most effective attacks that my partner Audra, who played the right today, the most effective attacks that she had, if she had an inside-out backhand that she could get in the air that was below the net, she would go inside out to the opposing female who's on the right side, more to her body. So we call it cross body. Yeah. She's not going to that space in the middle. She would go to either midsection or the right shoulder or the left shoulder of the opposing female player. Same thing with her forehand. When she had a forehand speed up, if she was able to get it more to the body, that was much more effective as opposed to going to their wheelhouse, which is often that two-handed counter if they're a right-handed player on that right side. We did not play any lefties today, but one of the really good senior pros is Natalie Bagby, and she's a lefty, and she plays on the right side. So if you attack that lefty, go cross-middle to that space, they cover that with their forehand as well. And that ball is going to go right at me, which Natalie has hit that ball a bunch of times. If you are able to get it into the paddle side body of a lefty, so with that inside out backhand from the right volley from below the net, it really jams them. Those are some of the spots that you want to attack from below the net cross court.
Let's play out a couple of scenarios. You and I are opposing each other. We are now right side to right side. I have shown in this particular game that I'm ready for, if someone is right in front of me, I'm cocked and loaded for a counter. I am probably, if I'm on the right side, sitting with my backhand most of the time, unless there's some scenario where I need to turn or be a little more neutral. In general, I'm sitting on that backhand side, and my left side player has shown a propensity for being able to step in and take those floaty forehands in the middle or an attack in the middle. You're you, and I'm me. Where are you looking? Let's say we're in a dink rally, and I put one a little bit net high. Where are you targeting me? Give me one or two targets that you would target. And you tell me what ball you're going to hit. Like, what do you need to be able to speed this ball at me?
So if you try to dink to my left foot, and I have stepped up and I can get an inside out flick at you, I will go inside out towards your chest. So I'll try to get that. Or your right hip if I can get there. Because, again, it's paddle side, so I'm trying to almost chicken wing you.
Sure, because I'm going to be sitting in backhand, so you're almost aiming at my elbow.
Exactly.
And it's going to really force me to, to try to rotate around to get it.
Exactly. And if I do it below the net with my forehand, if you've pulled me out, it's a little more challenging, but I would try to hit the same spot as well if I can. That is a little bit tougher. Ideally, I would do that if I've pulled you out and I feel your partner isn't covering. So I would try that cross middle if I have it, but only if I've pulled you out.
This is like a surprise ball in general, right?
Yes.
You're trying to surprise me. I'm probably not going to be in a position where I can fully avoid the ball, even though I would like to, because I think it would go out generally, right? But you're doing such a good job targeting my torso, and it's surprising me that maybe I don't have time or I don't have enough space to get out of the way.
Exactly. So I would be targeting probably your chest with that forehand in the air from below the net. I'd be targeting your chest, probably more that that right pectoral muscle if I can get it there. And a lot of times it works off speed. So I know you're talking a little bit about the full send, if you will, hitting it as hard as you can at your opponent's body. Of course, that works well if you surprise them and you hit the right shot. But this will work pretty well off speed if I can surprise you enough, because I'm going to be telling my partner, these are my targets. If I get this shot, this is what I'm going to try to do, because my goal is to create that triangle. So I will hit the ball towards you and you will pop it up or counter if you can towards my partner. So I have to tell my partner that this is the ball I'm looking for. I see this as a weak spot or a potential target for attacks. If you see me get a ball in the air, just look straight ahead. And that's really key, because if you're not communicating with that with your partner will be surprised, because that ball does go to your partner.
Right.
If I hit that inside out flick volley with my backhand right at you, you're either going to counter wide to my partner's left, or you're going to get it right to my partner. It's very difficult for you to counter inside out to my forehand, unless I hit just a terrible shot, or you shank it, or you get very fortunate.
The Conjuring Last Rites. On September 5th. The Conjuring Last Rites. Only in theaters September 5th. Rated R.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
Yeah, because if I'm sitting backhand, that would require me to not only get all the way to my forehand, but get there quick enough where I can actually get a backswing and start moving my paddle forward again. It's not really going to happen. Really, my only option, if I'm lucky, I can put it between you guys, but probably it's going right at your partner.
Exactly. So you have to communicate with your partner, which, again, we've talked about a million times, but it really, really helps their anticipation. It helps their reaction time. It's just huge if you have a general idea of what your partner is doing on particular balls.
It's very easy to see positioning problems and things that we all had when we were coming up. And this particular shot that you're talking about, if there's a better reason for getting all the way up to the kitchen line, it's because the tape hides this shot from your opponent. The tape, the top of the net, the white part.
Exactly.
I can't see your feet. I can't see your knees, because the net is obscuring that. So when you reach down, in general, I'm thinking there's no way this is going to be offensive. So when you're able to, because you've got the skill set, to get that paddle face down and flick up on the ball, and all of a sudden it appears from the depths, and I go, like, it's a really surprising ball to be able to handle. When we were playing back and forth way back when at Los Cab, you got me like 14 times on that ball. It was like, man, this thing just appears out of nowhere, but it's the exact reason why we want to be all the way up at the kitchen to instigate like that.
If we can, and the best scenario for this is when you have hit a really good dink and that your opponent is struggling or a little bit out of position or a little bit further back, or they're looking down, or they're a little bit off balance. I'm totally fine with people stepping off the line to try to get a more comfortable dink if you need to, but if you've hit a really good dink, get up to the line and hunt for that ball. And if you are on the right side, you hit a good dink cross court, go towards the middle. Go hunt for that ball in the middle. Michael, what do you think about talking about a few scenarios from the left side, some cross court attacks?
Well, you read my mind. So now I'm on the left, you're on the left. We are comfortably cross-court dinking. Now, the typical scenario for this would be we go back and forth a few times, and I hang a ball up a little bit high. You're able to reach in and poke it at my teammate.
Yes.
And that typically ends the point. I did it about 15 times at the APP in Newport. I'm like, God, keep that ball down. Very sorry, Alan, for that. But this is not that. That would be the traditional version of this. This is a little bit different. let's talk about the scenarios where I might be dinking towards your right foot and the kinds of things you might do with that ball.
Yes. And let's clarify this because your first scenario is the optimal scenario. If you and I are going back and forth and I have the opportunity to flick straight ahead, that's most likely what I'm going to do. One of the scenarios, if you're trying to go to my right foot, if I've hit a good dink and I see you're a little bit in trouble and you're trying to reset to that middle and I can get that ball, I can go inside out right at your torso again, right at your midsection, either your right hip or your left hip. It's safer for me to go to your right hip, and that kind of jams you. And another really good scenario for me to hit that shot is if your right side partner is trying to target my right side partner's left foot. So I know that shot is coming. So they're trying to go towards the middle, and I take that ball and I go inside out right at you, because you are going to be looking in the middle. When you're on the left and you're either watching your partner dink or you see your partner dink in the middle, you're looking for that middle ball. If I'm on the left opposing you, I can get that ball in the air and go inside out right at your midsection, and I'm trying to get that ball to pop up for my right side partner.
Yeah, because I'm hunting for the middle ball. I'm absolutely hunting for the ball that you hang a little high in the middle that I can just turn on and fire either right at the person in front of me or right through the middle of the court, high to low. It's going to be a hard ball and you're going to pop it up and we're going to put the point away anyway. It's going to happen one way or the other. But in general, when I'm on that left side, I might be leaning a little more forehand. Like I watch, like, let's say Georgia Johnson play that a little bit, where she might even have almost a lollipop grip and she's moving out of the way to give herself a forehand put away in that scenario. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to get it to my left hip in that situation, I'm totally screwed. Like it's an almost impossible jam for me to get anything on the ball at that point.
Yeah, it's tough, and that's why it's so effective. Another scenario which I like is if you and I are dinking cross court and we're on the left and you are the one that hits a dink and you float it a little bit and I get a ball, say at like waist level. So if it's a backhand, if you're floating a backhand and I've pushed you out wide, what happens is that left side player, so that would be you in this scenario, are always going to go with your forehand to cover that middle. That's where you go. If you floated a dink on the left side with your backhand and I've pushed you out and you get it cross court, but I can do a backhand flick, you're going to go cover that middle. And so I'm going to take advantage of that and go cross court right at your midsection again to try to jam you to pop it up. Now, if I try to go cross court middle to what I think is the opening, you are probably going to cover that with your forehand and crush it at my partner.
I'm waiting for it.
Exactly.
One interesting thing about that whole scenario is that you don't even have to rip that ball. Like if you have a second to go inside out to that, like what would be my left foot, it's so awkward. You don't even have to hit it that hard. It's going to be just so hard for me to get the paddle to do anything at that point. You got to read it. I think this is one of the points of this show. If someone shows a propensity to do something, ultimately you're going to have to cover it. A good example today, for whatever reason, my forehand drive was savage today. Like my percentage was really high, including the full-on jack sock, run around the backhand, lace it down the line, the opposite of how Paris Todd won that game. But enough that I hit that down the line when I'm on the left-hand side, ball went a little wide, I ran around it and ripped it down the line 3 times in a game for winners, enough that they had to go, all right, I have to cover line. I can't play how I would normally play this. The guy had to sit forehand, at least on that line, to get me out of it. So, of course, I went oppo. I went inside out and dropped a murderous drop. But I was saying it was just that my forehand was so good today for whatever reason. But make them beat you on this, or at least recognize that this is a shot that they're going to hit and you're going to have to discuss it. If we're playing against you and I go, dude, he's hit this inside out thing on me now 3 times when I'm swung wide and I put this ball up and he's able to, like, instead of ripping it at you, which is what we would expect, and he's ready for it, Mircea's gone inside out on me 3 times and he's won that. I have to now think, okay, if I float it, our only option is that right side player's got to fully cover middle and be ready for some counter. And I have to cover that left foot thing that you're hitting, but you're making us change our strategy because we've recognized that you now do this.
Exactly. So you're manipulating the other team with your own patterns that you are trying to maximize. So you've illustrated it really well. Thank you, Michael.
Makes it hard to cover.
It does.
What are you going to cover? Like, what are your options? Because at that point, with your forehand, that floaty forehand in the middle, now you can literally go right hip on my partner who's right in front of you and go that way, because they're going to be stuck covering the middle because you've inside outed us 3 times now.
One thing you have to keep in mind is your own comfort level, your own skills that you have. So do you have some of these shots that we're talking about? Obviously, you have to consider your opponent's skills and your adjustment. You are taking a risk because you're going a longer distance and you're going diagonally. So you run the risk of hitting the ball wide. These are great options, but you really have to hit specific targets most of the time. And I know you talked about it last time. Some people are just taking that ball and going full send, like trying to hit it as hard as they can at the person. Obviously, that can work at times. The better you get, the more people can recognize that, especially off the bounce, because if you don't have a good speed up off the bounce that's disguised, people can read that really well. But the spots that we're talking about also work off the bounce if you are targeting specific people in specific ways. So see how it works. It's an option to try. If it's working, great. But if it's not working, don't do it. It sounds so silly and simple, but I've seen it just time and time again where for whatever reason, people, especially on the right side, like to speed up that cross-court middle ball, and it's just getting destroyed over and over again. And it's not working. So if it ain't working, let's try something else.
To practice this, trying to execute some of these balls that we're talking about, the different targets that we're talking about, left side and right side, I think it's probably a really, really fun set of drills to do because you can illustrate how you can get completely caught with some of these shots, and it'll allow you to hone in on your locations a little more, your targets.
It helps with practicing your locations. Obviously, if you're drilling this, your drilling partner knows that that's what you're working on, but you can still work on that specific targeting really well. I really like doing this type of scenario with 2 people across from me. So it's myself on one side and then 2 people across from me, so I can change the pattern a little bit or have a little bit of mystery so you can try to vary your shots and your opponents don't always know exactly where you're going, or your drilling partners don't always know exactly where you're going.
This feels like a drill where you really need a basket of balls because you're going to fire a bunch that are going to be all over the place. Much more difficult to do if you have 1 ball in your drilling or 2 or 3. This is a basket type drill, I think.
It is, but one of the drills which I did a bunch out in Aspen, which I really loved, was fast hands with 1 person on one side and 2 people on the other. So the person on one side would try to change the spot. So sometimes they'd go cross court, sometimes they'd go straight ahead, and you do cooperative fast hands, and it really helps you to see the angles, and it allows you to work on some of these things that we're talking about. It also helps work on the defensive aspect of it. So you can see that you don't have to panic when someone attacks you cross court. You can visualize their paddle angles. You try to work on where you're countering, if you need to shift to one side for another. So if I'm continually targeting your body from the right side to the right side, you might want to shift over to your right so you can get that backhand in. You can get my ball into your wheelhouse with that backhand a little bit. So that's one way you can work on it. So I really enjoyed the cooperative fast hands with 1 person on one side and 2 people on the other side. Yeah,
in that last scenario, before we wrap this, by me shifting over to the right and getting that ball more into my wheelhouse, I've got to talk to my partner and be like, hey, I have to do this. He keeps nailing me in this hip. You're going to have to come over a little bit more and cover middle more than you maybe were. Otherwise, we leave a tractor-trailer hole in the middle of the court.
Exactly.
All right, guys. So I hope you'll drill this. I think it's a really fun thing to start playing with. And it really can teach you that low flick that Mircea's talking about is really, really a fun shot. We need a name for it. It's like the appearing dragon or something. Like it appears out of the blue just from under the net and it shocks someone. So we have to figure out a name for that. But hey, good luck tomorrow in gender dubs.
Thanks, buddy.
And you'll have to report back, and if you did any good cross-court attacks, I think that'll be really good.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
Okay. Folks, you've now just listened to another episode of 4.0 to Pro. If you'd like to come and join us at the camp, it's 402p.com/camp to register. You can also email me. By the way, if you ever fill out like picklehelp.com, don't just put your email address in. I don't actually know what you want then, or if you accidentally sent it without sending something. Definitely mention that you want to be on the list for the camp, and I'll send you the link. But here's the link. It's 402p.com/camp. If you have not heard from me, that's where you go to register. Thank you for Mircea. I'm Michael. You guys keep on rocking. Enjoy the pickleball courts. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to 4.0 to Pro. For more tips, find us on Instagram at 4.0 to Pro. If you have a pickleball question, submit it at picklehelp.com. Now, get out there and dominate. But don't forget to have fun.